Are you tired of your heart breaking over the needs that you see around you, in the lives of people around you, and yet you don't have the time or the money to actually help in the way that you would like to, or maybe even help at all? I have so been there, my friend. And in this episode, we are going to dig into what we can actually do about it and how we can make the impact that we want to make. Hope to see you there. Do you have a burning desire in your heart to help in some way, to serve other people in some way, to, make an impact, to be an anonymous giver, to build a school, to build an orphanage, like any of those things, but yet you are finding that you're totally confined by time. You don't have enough time and you don't have enough money. I hear you, my friend. My name is Melanie, and this is her Prosperous journey. This is just a journey of how I am taking an online business and moving into a space of being able to make that kind of an impact. So if you want to learn how to earn more so you can serve more, give more, and live more, you're going to love this podcast. Let's dig in. Hey friend, welcome back. I'm excited to have you here, her Prosperous journey. And today we're going to dig into what happens if we can't make the impact. The thing that we have on our heart. What happens if we don't have the time or money right now to actually do it or help with it? I want to bring you to a story in the Bible in Luke 10, verses 25 to 37, basically. I won't read the whole thing, just for time's sake. But what I am going to tell you is, there was a lawyer. It says a certain lawyer asked Jesus how to inherit eternal life, and Jesus says to him, he says this, and he answered, saying, "Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy strength, and with all thy mind, and thy neighbor as thyself." So the lawyer then says, well, who is my neighbor, right? Like, who am I supposed to be doing? Who am I supposed to love, right? And Jesus answered him and said that he told the story because Jesus was all about telling stories, because that's how we learn, right? We learn by telling stories. But Jesus said, "A certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell among the thieves, and they stripped him of his raiment and wounded him and departed, leaving him as dead. And then by chance there came down a certain priest by the way, and when he saw him, he passed over on the other side. But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion on him. And he went to him and bound up his wounds, and pouring oil and wine, and set him on his own beast, and brought him to an inn, and took care of him. And on the morrow, when he departed, he took out 2 pence, and gave them to the host, and said unto him, Take care of him, and whatsoever thou spendest more, when I come again, I will repay thee. Which now of these two, it says, are the neighbor? So Jesus says, out of these 2 men, the priest that passed him by on the other side, or the man that picked him up and took care of him? The man that picked him up, the Samaritan that picked him up and took care of him, is the neighbor, right? So what is that telling us? That's telling us that we need to be open and willing and ready to help anyone that actually is in our path, right? Because I believe that God gives people money and finances to help us with our character, to help us, because I think the Bible says somewhere that there's always going to be poor people in our midst. And why is that? God is more than capable of giving everyone everything, all the abundance, right? God has more abundance than we could ever imagine. So why is it that some people are impoverished and other people have wealth? I mean, there could be lots of variables in there, are they following the Lord? Are they obeying the Lord? Are they not managing their money well? Whatever, all the things, not for me to judge. But what I want to say is that Samaritan, God pointed this story out in the Word of God because it's important. That Samaritan took his own money and his own time to help the man that needed help, right? And so that shows me that God will give us wealth, and we can do the same thing. Now, I don't know about you, friend, but that is just something that lights me up. I don't really get that excited about talking about money and, like fancy new cars and big houses. I mean, whatever. I don't, if you want it, or if I have it, I'm not going to throw it away, but it doesn't light me up. It doesn't just get my heart, on fire, right? Because to me, it's just a tool. Money is simply a tool. And, hang on, I want to do something here. Sorry, I keep getting distractions. Money for me is a tool, and that tool is for us to do something important with. And so when we can start to think about what would we do with more money, more time, how could we glorify the Lord? How could we step into that calling that he has on our life, that unique thing that he wants us to do? And, I got to tell you that when I was a young girl, my mom was a single mom, and we had 4 kids. She had 4 kids, and there was lots of times it was really hard for her, right? And one of those times in particular, we had nothing to eat, and she, had done what she could do, but her hands were sort of tied at that point. And this beautiful couple brought us food, like I'm talking a lot of food. It filled our whole table, our whole kitchen table, and all of us kids, we were diving in, eating, doing the thing. And years later, when I actually was at college, I realized that it was what they did, their generosity in my life, that caused me to even think that I could go to college. Because no one in my family had ever gone to college. I had to get a student loan. I had to do all that stuff. Like, there was no money for that kind of stuff. But when I'm retelling the story to my college friends, and I just start to weep because I just realized, oh my goodness, those people changed my life. And I wish they could see me today. Like, I really, truly wish they could see me today, because even though I realized at that point, when I was in college, I realized, that those people had changed my life by their simple act of kindness. And I knew they were Christians. I mean, everybody knew they were Christians. I wasn't a Christian yet, but what they did set me on a new course, right? Because all of a sudden I wanted to be like them. I wanted to be on their side of the fence. So I knew that if I wanted to be different and I wanted my life to look different, that I was going to have to do different things. And that's why I put myself through college. And that is now why I'm building business, because in order to truly do something different than what we've had in the past, we have to step up and we have to be different. And sometimes that means it's hard, right? Like, sometimes it's hard to do. Sometimes it's scary to do. But what about the reward? What about the reward? And I don't need to have people say, oh, Melanie, wow, she bought this for me, or she paid for that. Because I would love to do it anonymously. I would love to be able to just help in a way that doesn't need fanfare. I can do it from the sidelines. I can do it from, hiding whatever. I don't care. But to me, it's just, that's the impact, is because that impact that we may do in that moment, we have no idea how that could ripple out and touch thousands of lives, right? And that's the part that is super exciting, because when we can do that and we glorify God through the whole thing, like, just imagine if those people got to see me now as a beautiful, strong, blessed believer, right? I love the Lord with my whole heart. And I'm not afraid to tell people that. I'm not afraid to share that I love him and why I love him. And can you imagine this sweet little Christian couple who lived in this little small town? And I mean, I don't know what they did or didn't do, but like, I don't think they probably went far out of our little town. But what they did was set me up, and who knows how many other kids in that town, to go out and to now be like, to do bigger things, to touch more people, to talk to more people. It's amazing. It's such a beautiful story. And that is what I think, when we make money, and when we make money in a way that doesn't take all of our time, we can now do the thing. We can be that good Samaritan. Because you know what else is really sad to me? Since, I went to school, got the job, did all the things, but I still never had any money. Like, you know what I mean? It was paycheck to paycheck all the time. And so there's lots of times that people, I've seen a need in their life. I'm like, oh my goodness, their car's broke down. They need someone to fix it, but I don't have the money to fix it, right? Or like someone needs really major dental work, or even just to get rid of a cavity, right? Because we all know cavities are terrible. And if you don't have some means of taking care of it, that can just about drive you crazy. And the reason I say that is because I know someone's in my head right now, actually, that I'm thinking, oh, dental care, right? Because what if you could just call a dentist and say, hey, you know what? This person, I'm going to make an appointment for this person. And when this person comes in, I want to have that work paid for. That person never, ever has to know who did it. But you're going to have, like, set them up to, be more peaceful and present with their family because they're not got this aching tooth pain. But also, it's like, hey, you know what? When something good like that happens, we tend to want to pay it forward. You know, like, have you ever bought someone's coffee in the I'm in Canada, so I can say Tim Hortons, but not everybody has a Tim Hortons, or Starbucks or wherever, right? Like, have you ever paid for someone's order that was behind you? I had a lady do that for my son. Actually, it's kind of a funny story. I didn't want my son to have the candy, but this lady, he's like, Mom, I want the candy. And I said, no, you don't, like, we're not having the candy, blah, blah, blah. She must have thought that I couldn't afford it. And so she bought him the chocolate bar or whatever the thing was he wanted. And I kind of giggled because I thought, oh, darn it, that's not exactly what I wanted because he doesn't need to have it. However, the generosity did not get lost on me, right? I was like, still very sweet, super sweet, amazing. Thank you so much, right? But something happens when we help someone else. All of a sudden now they want to, it lifts them up. It lifts their spirits up. It lifts them up. And now when they go out into the world, all of a sudden they're more open to being a vessel for that kind of generosity or gratitude or, kindness to someone else. Because it works the opposite way too. If someone is really mean to someone or someone cuts someone off, whatever, when they go out now into the world, they're bitter and they carry that with them, and they will probably more likely be nasty to someone else on their path as well, or show like no grace to them. So that's the whole idea. And that's, I love, there's so many stories in the Bible where, God shows us what we can do and how we can do it. And I don't ever want this to think that, we're going to make all this money and we're not going to need God. Like, that's never my direction or my thing, because to me, I can't do anything without him. I seriously can't do anything. But I also believe that he gives us the ability to make money and to make a lot of it so that we can, we can do something with it. I just heard an amazing story tonight of the founder of our this company that I'm involved in, and amazing story. This man, in his small town in Japan, I guess their school was going to close down, didn't have the funds to run it or whatever, and he stepped in and said, because these kids were going to get bused an hour one way, so that's 2 hours. These kids are all going to be riding on the bus each day. Can you imagine? You're taking 2 hours away from your family, 2 hours, whatever. And I guess he went, nope, this is not a good idea. This is not happening. And so what does he do? He goes, and because he's very wealthy at this point, he goes and buys the school. He buys the school. And now the school still, to this day, the school is running, thriving. They've got sports teams and all kinds of stuff and whatever. But that's the kind of impact that I'm talking about. When we make a lot of money and we get past the point of, I only need this much to survive. Yeah, okay, we may only need this much to survive, but what about all the people that we can impact because we have a business? What about all those people that we can impact that can, you could just go buy that school or buy that whatever, health facility or whatever. Whatever God has put on your heart to do. When you have a lot of money, you can do it. If you don't have money, it's just a dream. You're just like, well, Lord, I'd like to help. That's cool, but I can't do anything. Right? So that to me is, my goodness, it just lights me up. It just lights me up so much. And so what can we do if we want to be in a different space than we are right now? what can we do? And here's what I've done multiple times, because I found myself in these situations many times. Like the very first time, after these people had brought us food, and I think I was in about grade 8 or something, if I remember right, or maybe grade 9. I don't know, something like that, grade 8, grade 9. And I remember thinking, I was laying, funny story, but I was laying on, we had no heat at that point, and we were, all of us kids and my mom were all sleeping in the living room trying to stay warm. And so all of us kids are sleeping on blankets on the floor. My mom is on the couch. And I remember looking out the window. We lived in a mobile home, and there's a street light right outside the living room window. And I looked outside the window, and there's a street light. And I looked at that light, and I thought to myself, I didn't say it to anyone else, but I said, I am done with this. I'm done with this life. I'm not coming back to this life ever again. Like that way of life. You know what I mean? And I didn't. Like, obviously, it wasn't long after that we moved into a low-income home, and it was way, way better than our mobile home that we were living in. But the point of that story is that we have to draw the line in the sand. We just have to say, no, I'm done with this. I don't want this anymore. Now I'm going to do whatever it takes to move to the next level. And that's what I did. I'm like, I have to do something. I have to do whatever it takes. And so for me, all I could know at that point was going to college and getting a good job. But, okay, reality check. That doesn't give you a ton of money either. And it definitely doesn't give you time. But that's all I knew. At that point, I wasn't able to comprehend having a business or anything like that. It's taken me quite a few years of trial and error and trying to do things that way in order to realize the power of having my own business. And the right kind of business. I'm not talking like a business that is going to steal all your time and it's not going to pay you well. Like, I'm talking a business that you're not confined to space or time. Like, you don't have any kind of building or anything. You can build it from anywhere. You can build it in a short amount of time each day, and you can get paid very, very, very well. That's the kind of business that I'm talking about. And if you want to know what that looks like for me and how that could really, truly be the answer to your prayer as well, then take a look in the show notes. I'll have 2 different links there because I do have a couple different options depending on, what people like. I am in the digital marketing space, online space, and I'm also very excited about a product-based business as well, which is not a tons of product. But anyway, you'll find out more about those in the show notes. Both of those links will be in there. But now is the time. Now is the time. If you could make the impact, what would that look like? What would it look like? What would it feel like to you to know that you made a difference in someone's life? You set them up to become, who God created them to be. You set them up to be screaming and yelling about Jesus from the mountaintops. What if? Can you imagine? You get to heaven. This person gets to heaven and they say, it's because of what you did. Do you know? It's because of what you did for me, or how you helped me or mentored me or whatever. That put me on a different path, and that's why I'm here today. Wow! Can you imagine how amazing that's going to feel? Oh, so good. Anyway, so draw the line in the sand and know that if you want something different, you have to go after it. You have to get out there and do the thing, right? Find the business, and then take the action and make the impact. Okay, my friend. God bless. Take care. If this episode blessed you, then I thank you so much for dropping me a quick little review, letting me know that I have helped you on some level. It warms my heart to hear from you, and it also helps me to create content that is more serving for you. So if you would be so kind as to drop me a quick review, I'd be super, super happy. All right. Take care, my friend. God bless.